Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Matt Catrillo Show featuring Steve Jones. I mean, that's the way you wanted it phrased. It's time for you to step up and take the responsibility. I mean, this is what you're going to teach little Luke? Yeah, finally get the big responsibility, don't take it. That's what you're going to teach this kid? Come on. All right, great to have you with us on the Friday. Brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. Best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. And the pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. This is a football bonanza weekend. So stock up now. Get in the car and just go over. Stock up. Look, no need to go out. Okay, take care of it now. You can just spend the weekend just watching football. Lots and lots of football. All right. And it's all at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, fabulous selection of pre-owned inventory, great sales staff, and a terrific service department to back it all up. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. All right. Play-by-play call of the day. The late Tommy Lasorda, who passed away today, has a little fun with the Philly Fanatic.
The Philly Fanatic has a stuffed mannequin of a Dodger, and Tommy trying to get that Fanatic close. Now he he says, "You don't make fun of me or my ball club." Oh, what a dilly. They threw a ball at him.
One of baseball's greatest ambassadors. Had a chance to meet Tommy Lasorda one time, and it was at a place that you wouldn't expect. Now, the location you would expect, the city, but it was, I met him in 2008 at Rose Bowl practice. The practice site was just below, you saw the Chargers play at the Home Depot Center, or whatever the heck it was called, out in Carson. And that's where Penn State practiced for the Rose Bowl. And Tommy Lasorda came to practice. And Joe came up, he says, "Steve," he said, "you'd love this. You would love this." I said, "Sure, what?" He says, "You got to go over and you got to meet Tommy Lasorda." And he said he wanted to meet you. I said, "You want to meet me? What do you want to meet me for?" He doesn't know me from Adam. He goes, No. He says, "Tommy's from Norristown. He listens to all the games." I'm like, "Hey." So I went over, and he had all the football managers around him, and he was regaling them with one story after another. It was only about 20, 25 minutes. Then I went back as they started getting to, at this point, they were stretching. Okay, you see one stretch, you see them all, okay? Okay, all right. And so for 20, 25 minutes, I mean, Matt, one story after another. It was terrific.
Oh, I can only imagine.
And I was laughing so hard. And then I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit, and he said some kind things about the broadcast, which was nice. But yeah, he did. He said, "Oh yeah, no, I listen all the time." I'm going,
That's amazing.
I said to him, I said, that was great because I said that doubles our ratings. That's what I said to him. He says, I got to remember that one. He was great. Oh, my goodness. The football managers were in stitches. Well, we all were. And finally, it got to the point where I had to get back and watch practice, which is where I watched Aaron Maven 3 times line up offside. And then in the Rose Bowl game, Penn State recovered a fumble, and Penn State was offside because, as I said in the broadcast, I said Aaron Maven lined up offside. All right. And finally USC did something, whatever. Penn State, they kept the ball. And we went to a break, and Jack said, how did you know Maven lined up offside? He said, he did 3 times in practice 2 days ago. He goes, oh. I said, so seriously, that's why I said it.
There you go.
I mean, we weren't at the 40. When we did the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago, we were at the 45-yard line, an unbelievable spot to the game from. When we did that game, the 2008-2009 Rose Bowl, we were at the goal line. That's why he asked me, how could you see that? And I said, man, that's sometimes you make an assumption based on what you know. All right. But Tommy Lasorda, oh, my goodness. The stories. Wow. All right. Greg Pickle, PennLive.com, joins us. Happy New Year to you. Great to have you with us today. This is where, once again, it's the Matt Catrillo show featuring.
Yeah, we're having some connection issues, so we may have to go back to him later.
Hit it on the side.
Believe me, I've done that.
Yeah, but you do it out of anger. I mean, look, it's actually made in the old Soviet Union. All it understands is force. All right. So I know we're going to do picks today. And the picks we're going to have are going to be simple. There's 7 games, 6 playoff games, and the College Football National Championship. Now, on the subject of the College Football National Championship, today was the last day for testing before the game. All right? The way the test came out, both teams are set. They can play. That is the big story out of that. Both teams are set. They can play. And the problem, and both teams are now, after doing this, both teams are allowed to head to Miami to do this. My old friend Jerry Emick, who's the spokesperson for Ohio State, says they're going to fly down tomorrow. I've known Jerry for 30 years. And Alabama's good to go as well. It doesn't mean everybody's going to be there. Ryan Day said, look, they have plenty of players available without providing specific numbers or player updates. It should be, okay, here, let me give you 2 names to watch for, and I think it does become pivotal in the game. That we aren't sure of as to whether they can play in the game or not. And it's pivotal. As you know, Dickerson, the center, Landon Dickerson, got hurt in the SEC title game against Florida. There is a vulnerability for Alabama up the middle. The question is, can Ohio State take advantage of it? And now I'm going to bring up the 2 names. Tommy Togiai, who played brilliantly against Penn State, and Tyreek Smith, who plays sometimes at end, sometimes plays inside at tackle, especially when they go their 4 defensive end look. Supposedly, those are 2 names to keep an eye on as to whether they're available to play in the game or not. Okay? I'm not saying they won't play in the game, but it is something to look at. As to whether or not they can play. Tommy Togiai, Tyreek Smith. And they can take advantage of it. This Alabama team, Waddle looks like, as they say, is a game-time decision. Let me say this about the Waddle situation. I know you get asked about it and you dangle it out there, but I think it is. If I'm the Ohio State coaching staff, I prepare for the possibility of what he can do, but I don't game plan any differently. If he's out there, I single him. In other words, instead of chasing after the fool's gold, we're like, oh, now what do we do? Do we got to change up coverage as to what we're doing because we really want to cover Devontae Smith in this particular way? Blah. No, you don't change. In my opinion, Waddle, if he plays more than 5 to 10 plays in this game, I'd be pleasantly surprised. He's coming off a really bad ankle injury. I single him up on the outside until he proves me wrong. I still concentrate on what I'm doing coverage-wise and what Smith does. Because I think they're dangling it out there for a reason, Alabama. I think there's a reason why they're dangling it out there, that he is a game-time decision and has been practicing. He can practice all he wants. But to me, I think you're chasing your own tail if you sit there and take it seriously. He's going to be a 50 to 60 play guy. He's going to be 5 to 10 plays. Be realistic. The offensive line is good for Alabama, really good. But losing the center hurts. But the problem is, I don't know if Ohio State can counter it. Now you look at and they had to counter in some ways because Ohio State's secondary is good. It's not great. Their linebackers, Ohio State's linebackers, have developed into a really good core. I felt they were the weakness of that football team a couple of years ago in 2018. I thought they got a lot better in 2019. And I think the Ohio State linebackers are really good now. Borland, Browning, Hilliard, and Pete Werner. And Werner would be the guy that would get Forrestall, the tight end, a lot of times. And he's good enough to cover him. That's no big deal. Then you look at Alabama's defense. Alabama has churned out one terrific defense after another, right? Okay. No offense, this is not one of them. You're going to see a stat going into the game. Alabama has 34 sacks this season. Whoa, eye-popping number. But you got to do a little bit of research. 18 of the 34 Alabama sacks are in 3 games. The other 9 games, 16. They're not as good defensively. In fact, this might be the weakest Alabama defense of any contending national championship team he's had. Doesn't mean they don't have good players. The Moses kid's a really good player. The one defensive tackle's terrific. But you can move the ball on them. And Ohio State is going to need to. Ohio State's going to have to score at least 40 points to win this game. It's just the way the game's played now. That's why we're talking about Mike Yursich coming here and the big plays and getting the ball down the field and things like that. Look, I mean, Penn State has got to get itself. Now, this season was an off. This is a one-off. Let's see how it plays out next year. But get the ball down the field, get the ball down the field. James Franklin will tell you the two most important stats, and he's reiterated this over and over and over again. What are the two stats that he refers to right away out of the gate? He always refers to big plays, explosive plays, and giveaway takeaway. Okay. Well, now let's go back and see how does that play out for Penn State. Well, this is how it plays out for Penn State. When Penn State has been able to win both explosive plays and giveaway takeaway in the same game under James' tenure, what's James won? 62 games in his career? Of the 62 wins, Penn State is 25-0 when they win both. So the giveaway takeaway thing is an obvious thing. It's been talked about since the beginning of time, how important it is. Since the beginning of time. But the explosive play part, when you look at the component of that, I mean, this goes back to Joe's time too. So since 2005, so this would be Joe and Tom Bradley for 4 games. Joe, Tommy, Bill O'Brien, James. Since 2005, Penn State is 109-15 when winning explosive plays. Okay? When they win the turnover battle since 2005, they are 81-8. And when they win both since 2005, Penn State is 56-1, including 25-0 under James. That's what it means. And so with Mike Yursich coming in, that's something that he is a big believer in, the big play. And getting Jahan Dotson back is a big part of the big play. We'll take a break, back with more in a moment. Still picks to come on the show today as we continue. On News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Brewers Outlet.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
That was a tape from the first year when I had to take a day off and the suit was the guest host. I got a million of them. I've had more fun with that commercial than anything we've ever aired.
It is a good one.
Oh, it's also accurate. Oh, my goodness. All right, so yeah, I thought the big news on football today was going to be Jahan Dotson, and I pretty much had a pretty good feel and read that it looked like he was going to come back. All right. But the coordinator shift, I didn't see that. I sat back and went, really? And Jack called me up, Jack Hammond. He says, how come you didn't let me know about this one? He said, you let me know about all the other ones. I said, Jack, I didn't know. I said, I really didn't. So, look, I think one of the keys will be, obviously, look, they'll meet, they'll do Zoom and all this other stuff, but they're going to have to get out on the practice field in the spring somehow, some way, and get some practical experience to get this stuff into place. that's going to be Mike Yurcich's best shot with these guys. And again, for, what's the terminology? How close is it to what Penn State's terminology is? How much does Mike have to adapt his terminology to what Penn State already does? How much do the Penn State players have to adapt to what his terminology is? Whatever, maybe. For Sean Clifford and Will Levis, they're going to need to get out on the practice, not just diagramming stuff on Zoom. They're going to have to get out on the practice field and do this. What's the read? What's the footwork? What's the response at the line of scrimmage? How do we want to do this? I love the philosophy. You watch Oklahoma State and you watch Texas, and even to the point you watch Ohio State a year ago where Mike was. And Jack and I talked about him on the broadcast last year when Penn State played at Ohio State, the influence he helped have in the pass game. I mean, the guy's a great hire.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And by the way, before we get to our great sponsors who are awesome, our thanks to Nancy Pickard. Nancy Pickard gave us a like on Facebook. And Nancy, I want to thank you for doing that. It means a lot. And also our thanks to Lisa Caruso. Lisa following on our Facebook page as well. Lisa, thank you so much for doing that. So Lisa and Nancy, thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you along the way. Today's show brought to you by our great friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. And the pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed, second to none. All at Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. They also have 6 great flavors of slushies. Go over there, and now this is the time to go over there, and guess what? You need to go over there and stock up for the weekend. We got 7 games we're about to talk about. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and all online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai. Awesome inventory. Great selection of pre-owned inventory, too. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. And with that, now we bring in, ladies and gentlemen, the King.
What up? Happy birthday, man.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, happy birthday. I forgot to mention that to you yesterday.
Okay.
I looked everywhere, and I'm trying to do a scratch ticket here, too, because I'm going to win $550 million tonight. I can't wait. I'll give you each $1 million when I win, so...
Oh, great.
I'll buy the radio station.
Hey, I appreciate it.
There you go.
You'll all get a raise, a big one.
An incentive
Everyone will
to
have
have
a
you win.
limousine ride to work. So I looked everywhere yesterday, and I hunted, and I just settled on getting what I got you last year. So
it really is terrific. Oh, no, terrific. Terrific.
Yeah.
It's don't have to worry about transportation or anything. It's perfect.
I got it from Amazon. So.
I bet you did.
Got no bill.
Shocking.
One of these days I'll get you a big birthday present, but I'm going to have to win the lottery to do it. So I got one more row to scratch here. So Tommy Lasorda passed, huh?
Yeah, I was talking about how I met him at the Rose Bowl. And, oh, my goodness. Oh, he was at practice. And Joe came up to me and he said, Steve, you have to go over and meet Tommy Lasorda. You'd love it. Okay. So I went over there and I'm talking to him. And he's one of the funniest guys I ever met in the face of the earth.
He's a little guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, not very tall. No, but my goodness, the stories. The football managers were all standing there, which of course was the perfect audience, and he just had everybody in stitches. What a great ambassador!
Boy, a lot of, I don't know, how do you put it, famous people or named people died in the last 12 months,
I know. Oh, I know.
It seems like every other day there's some,
especially in baseball.
Yeah.
It was a rough year for baseball.
Yeah, it really was. So, tough
I
year.
don't know what it is, but I mean, this past year was just not a great year. So how did we end up on the college picks?
I actually have yet to tally them up. I can tell you, I'm probably going to be last. Well, what do you have then? Well, what do you have then, if you tally them up?
Oh, boy. I lost them. Where are they? They're here somewhere. Hang on. Okay. This is what I got now. It's unofficial. That's why I got Kevin Hurd at 12 and 11. Steve, you were 13 and 10. Matt, you were 11 and 12. And me, 15 and 8, baby.
Oh, well, there you go.
But I don't know if it's official. So you got to tally up yours.
Well, we got to technically. Kevin should get one more loss because he picked Notre Dame to win the whole thing, so he's out. But the three of us all picked Bama. Now, I think we all like Clemson in the championship game with Bama, but we all picked Bama to win. So if Bama wins Monday night, then all three of us get another dub.
Well, can we switch?
I suppose so. Once the game hasn't happened yet.
I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Ohio State looks good, huh?
Well, I think part of it's going to be who's not going to be able to make the trip.
Yeah, that's what's hard in every sport. Who can play?
Yeah, they announce 1 hour before the game who is not. They don't tell you the reason they can't play, but they do tell you an hour before the game guys that are unable to play. And, I know through the pipeline a couple of names to be concerned about. How about that? And for Ohio State, I think Alabama's vulnerable in the center of its offensive line right now. And Ohio State, I think, could have possibly done a big-time job against them up front. And Tommy Togiai and Tyreek Smith are two of the names I were told to be wary of going into the game. And if that's the case, that does hurt Ohio State in this game.
So we should stick with our Alabama picks.
Well, I'll tell you this. Ohio State will be able to score on these guys. And of the Alabama, you look at, say Alabama wins the title.
Yeah.
Say they do. In my opinion, it's the weakest Alabama defense of any of their national champions.
They haven't really been challenged all year.
They have 34 sacks, I believe, on the season. 34, right? Everybody goes, wow, look at all those Alabama sacks. 18 of them were in one game. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, 18 of them were in 3 games. The other 9 games Alabama played, they only had 16 sacks. That's not a big number. You can control these guys. Who did they play
that you would consider a very, very good football team?
Who would they? Well, obviously, Notre Dame's a good football team. They beat them. Florida's a good football team, but a terrible defensive team. Yeah. I mean, Florida's a perfect example. Florida went out, and the game played out the way we said. I mean, you made fun of me, and I said Alabama will score 50 in the game.
Yeah.
and they did. Now, but I'm saying, my point is that that's a reflection of Alabama's offense, which is terrific. But it's also a reflection of how poor.
Great.
But it's also a reflection of how poor Florida's defense is. That's why I said 50. Okay? In college basketball, we always talk about points per possession. So I'll give you an example. I know Penn State's. I know they're 3-4 right now because they've also played the third-ranked schedule in the country. But Penn State offensively can score with anybody, and Penn State's averaging 1.063 points per possession. Well, that's a terrific number. Now let's
weren't they at a point this year? Didn't they set a record for the most offensive yards gained in a couple of games? Yet they lost the games.
Well, now let me get to that's basketball. 1.063 points per possession in basketball is really good. Okay, basketball. Okay, now let's get to the football thing with Alabama. Alabama this year offensively averaged 4 points per possession. Oh my God! I mean that means like a possession that ends the half. You take a knee, a possession that ends in a punt, a possession that ends in a turnover. All those things happen. Or you misfire in the red zone. So you add up all the possessions Alabama had this year and divide it by the number of points, they average 4 points per possession. That's stunning.
And how many times were they way ahead in the game, and they put the second team in?
Right. So, all right, we're going to get back with picks in a moment. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet. When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you. The other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years. So we're going to start with college, huh?
Yeah, since we've been talking about the national title game in the last segment, let's finally make it known. Let's make our picks. King, let's start with you.
I'm going to switch to Ohio State.
Ooh, okay. Steve?
Better game than people realize because I think Ohio State can score with these guys, but I think in the end Alabama will win it. I think the losses for Ohio State up front, because I really believe Togiai and Smith, I really got a gut feeling they're not going to play. And I think for a team that's already not really that great in the secondary to begin with, that's a big problem against this team.
I think you may see a quick start from Ohio State, but in the end, I think Bama is going to have too much. I agree, Steve. I think Bama wins a close shootout, 33-30.
Look, here's the other part. Ohio State wins the toss. Take the ball.
Agreed.
I mean, keep the Alabama offense off the field. Try and see if you can gain possessions.
The question is, can Alabama take a punch to the face and respond? That's all
Nobody knows.
They're one of those teams that nobody challenges them all year, and then they get into a game where it's tight, and can they react?
I think they will. I think the way they were able to survive the SEC title game, I think proved enough for me.
Yeah, but I mean, they were behind a little bit in that game, but I don't know. Once they got the lead, and Florida was trying to play catch-up.
I think
Okay.
one of the best games for Ohio State this year was when Indiana came back on them.
Yeah.
And it shook them up a little bit and said, wow, we cannot. And from that point on, they just did what they wanted to do. So
Yeah.
What they did against Clemson, I don't know. But
That was impressive.
they may be down some players, so we'll see.
All right, it's time now for Super Wild Card Weekend. So let's start with the games on Saturday. First one at 1 o'clock on CBS, Indy and Buffalo. Let's start with Steve.
I think Buffalo's the best team in this whole thing to begin with, so I will pick them to win.
I got the Bills as well. King.
Ditto. I got the Bills.
Who will play in front of 6,700 at Orchard Park, so we'll keep an eye on that.
First
And
crowd
Cuomo.
they've had there.
Right. All right, next one. The 4:40 game on Fox. A third matchup of the NFC West rivals this year, the Rams. We'll see if they have Jared Goff against the Seahawks. King.
Seattle.
Steve.
Yeah, I like Seattle to win. Russell Wilson, even if Goff plays, Wilson's too much of a factor.
I think it's a close, ugly game, but I think Seattle wins. I just don't know. Even if Goff plays, I don't think he's going to be 100%. Seattle takes it there. And then finally, the NBC nightcap. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks against the NFC East champion Washington football team. Steve.
America's rooting for the Washington football team. You can tell. No. Tampa Bay will win.
King.
It's funny because I had my secretary write the stuff up. So I did the Colts, the Bills, the Rams, the Seahawks. It was the Buccaneers, and she goes, what, Washington? It's a football team. She goes, what? It's a football team. She goes, no, what's their name? I said, football team. He said, wow. I said, they were, the Redskins. Oh, I got the Bucs.
Don't you worry about an organization where they have to identify to their own players what they do?
That's just the way it's been.
We're a football team. Thank you. I can play now.
Yeah. You could have come up with a name,
I think they probably will next year. I think they should, considering the year they've had.
I think they have one, but I think it's copyrighted by somebody else.
Probably.
Which means you've got to go through legal hoops to do it.
Exactly.
They should be called the Hogs. I mean, that's just too easy. The Washington Hogs,
There you go.
It's an animal, and the Hogs are synonymous.
That was their offensive line.
Yeah.
That was their offensive
the
line.
Washington Hogs. Those guys were awesome. So.
Well, I got Tampa Bay as well. I won't be surprised if it's a blowout, but I still somehow think this is going to be an ugly game, and I think Tampa wins probably by like 7 points.
Come on, let's pick the Eagles game.
Pretty good.
You're funny.
Let's pick the Eagles.
Boy, he had a tough week, huh?
Oh, I've done 4 shows with this guy. Everything. Oh,
the guy for the Giants kind of irritated me.
Oh, Joe Judge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good Lord, you're 6-10. I mean,
it's
big
part of the
deal.
equation.
They threw a game. So what? But you're 6-10. You expect to make the playoffs? Come on.
Yeah.
if I'm the NFL, I make the Eagles pick 9th. As if they won the game. Sorry.
All right, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Baltimore and Tennessee on ESPN. King.
Ravens.
Steve.
Oh, boy. This is a tough one because I obviously Baltimore, after last year, I'll have some fun. I'll take Tennessee. I mean, it can't all be the same all the time. I'll take Tennessee.
I'm going to stick with Baltimore. This is a tough one for me too, but I just think they're playing better football right now than Tennessee is. And
no, I agree. I agree they are.
There's the revenge factor, I think, too, with Baltimore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's great. We're back to the 1980s radio here. God, you know what? You know where that comes into play? That does come into play somewhat when you're preparing because you might lock in a little bit more. Once the game starts, you get smacked in the mouth. It's like, oh, yeah, we're going for revenge. I got hit. Revenge is over. I think I better play.
But it's a monkey that they're trying to get off their back is what I guess is what I'm saying.
I always love the cliche of it. They're going for revenge. It helps you in terms of your ability to concentrate and practice during the week. But if you're doing it all on Zoom, that doesn't matter either.
This is true. All right, but I got Baltimore, though.
Okay, because it's revenge.
And then the 4 o'clock game on Sunday on CBS and Nickelodeon.
Oh, jeez.
The Bears and the Saints. Steve.
I got to give the Bears credit. They have moved from dreadful to
watchable.
Almost no, passable. Okay. I'll take New Orleans. I gotta get for viewing purposes. You gotta get rid of this team.
For whatever reason, I think this is going to be a close game, but I'm going to take New Orleans.
I got New Orleans, but is Kamara playing?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, he's playing. And Mitchell
Trubisky. You got to give the Bears credit. I mean, we've been ranking on them all year, and they keep squeaking out wins. I mean, it's all about wins, you know.
I'll tell you, that's 6 yards per completion.
Quarterback is finally playing well after 3 or 4 years. So.
6 yards per completion really makes me want to watch.
Well, it's about winning, so.
All right, real quick. Pittsburgh or Cleveland?
Steelers.
King?
Steelers.
I have Pittsburgh as well. There you go. Lock them in.
I can't stand the Browns. So.
Well, at least they get the
Baker
ball.
Mayfield. I don't know what it is. The kid can play. There's no getting around it, but he's making too many commercials too early in his career.
But they are good.